Okay. It says recording. So what is up? This is the War Dog. Welcome to Comic Book Theater with my guest host, JR. What's going on, JR?
What's up, War Dog?
Oh, man, I'm all tired out from cleaning out the garage. So if I'm not that active today, you guys are going to have to forgive me. But we do have some awesome guests. Brian Camilli is joining us, dressed up like Tuco from Breaking Good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And then we got Ian.
What's up?
What is up, Ian?
I'm good, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, glad to have you, brother. It's good to finally get to talk to you after seeing all your awesome, crazy videos. You've definitely upstaged a lot of us, especially that one where you were on the roof. And I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Oh, it's just I get crazy when every time I get a good score. So yeah,
that's cool.
I'm just happy that it made you guys laugh somehow.
Right on, dude. Hang on. Somebody's getting some feedback, by the way.
That was me. I'm gonna get into the chat.
Brian, come on, man.
I turned it down. It's gone.
Okay. All
right, Johnson. What are we gonna talk about today?
Oh man, we're doing, and I've been calling it for a little bit, the sci-fi potpourri today, guys. We're gonna talk some sci-fi shows. I'm going to remind people that there are comic books made of some of these sci-fi shows, and we might get into a little coronavirus, maybe a little bit. You know, I mean, it's all the rage. Everybody's terrified of it, but we'll save that for the end of the show.
I got into it already. I'm already into it.
You've already had. You're all in.
Okay. I have it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I keep having shortness of breath. I don't know why. It must be COVID.
It's weird. I don't know why that would
Paranoia.
I don't either.
I don't know, man. That's the weirdest thing. Okay, so anyway, let's talk Doctor Who a little bit. So, anybody who's been following along with Doctor Who, Doctor Who, it's Doctor Who, not just Who.
Just the Who?
Are we? No, Doctor Who. Anyway, so there's been a bit of a controversy with the finale of the season for Doctor Who.
What they go woke?
Oh, Doctor Who has been woke for the entirety of ever since the revival. Honestly, a little bit to varying degrees, of course. But the last two seasons, it's been ultra woke. In other words, you know, a female doctor has come on board. Last season was completely unwatchable. This season was only about 50% watchable. But the finale, this is the kicker. The finale was a 2-part finale. Doctor Who, which historically has been a very, very popular show in the UK, lost 600,000 viewers for that show alone. In other words, the show before it had like 4 million viewers and some change. Doctor Who shows up, 600,000 viewers exited, and the show after it, almost to the person, they came right back. So, I mean, again, I've kind of already given you guys my opinion on why that is. There's a lot of preachiness to these last two seasons.
What actor plays the original Doctor Who? This will explain a lot for me.
The original Doctor Who? Or the revival Doctor Who?
Whoever that it is that you like that showed up. Who is the actor?
My doctor, the one that I consider my doctor, is Matt Smith. A lot of people like David Tennant. Peter Capaldi has been the doctor. I personally think it's the writing that is making this version of the Doctor unwatchable. It just is. There's a lot of preachiness to the Doctor. Now, in years past, in seasons past, there's been a lot of hope. It might be a bit of a dark story that mankind has had to leave Earth for one reason or another, but there's always a thread of hope going through the whole thing. These last two seasons is basically like preaching at you that plastic is horrible and mankind is going to kill itself and mutate into monsters. And
Okay, yeah. Well, tell us what they want us to do about it.
We'll see, but that's
Because I'm down for horses. I don't see anybody taking their car and taking it and dismantling it, not sell it because somebody else is going to drive it, and then getting on horses. Because I'm all about getting some horses. Look.
yeah, there you go.
But what'd you do with your motorcycles?
We have to dismantle. Who cares if you have a real horse? You don't need an iron one.
Ah,
There you
okay.
I'm
Well,
down. I'm down. Let's take it back to revolvers and cowboys. I like it.
So for anybody that doesn't know about Doctor Who, there's been like 12 doctors, or there's supposed to have only been 12 doctors, right? Because he can regenerate. So like the Doctor will be played by a certain person for so long, and then he'll die and regenerate and become a new person, and that person will play the Doctor. And so some of that stuff has got screwed up in this. They've kind of ignored some of that past history and the past canon. And then the very first Doctor was in like the 1950s, and it was, I don't know what his name is. I can picture his face. But
Hartnell is his last name.
Okay, Hartnell, yes. I think William Hartnell maybe. He played the first Doctor, and then they went in this new series. They went and he was supposed to be the first one, and they went and like retold the story, right? Where now there's a new Doctor that was supposed to be before him, so it kind of screwed up the whole canon thing altogether. Which
so it could be a female Doctor, but maybe this female Doctor is just not a good fit for the role, or I don't understand.
Well, now
where's the conspiracy? Tell me.
Well, hang on. That's part of it, is that a lot of people are not connecting with her as the Doctor. Ian, do you watch Doctor Who much at all, really?
No, I'm learning from you guys.
You're learning. Okay, no problem, dude. No problem. So this is the deal with this Doctor. Again, it's not entirely that it's a woman, because with the 11th Doctor, with Matt Smith's Doctor, they actually hinted at the fact that Time Lords, when they regenerate, it was possible for them to change sexes. Okay, they've been hinting at this for 5 years now. So the changing of sexes is not a big deal. But like what Todd had said, is they are messing with canon a great deal. So think along the lines of the original 3 Star Wars and then the prequels. Essentially, this last season, they just jammed in all the prequels.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see it when it's free on Disney Plus. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, but you know what the prequels are for Star Wars.
They're awful too.
Well, but see,
awful.
that's a whole different story. But the same thing applies. It's a rushed way to retcon everything.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So there are problems there that it's rushed.
I like to use shoehorn. They're shoehorning.
That's legit.
Shoehorn.
It's kind of like the way I described it to my daughter is, you've got this great, vast, really colorful backlog of 50-some years of Doctor Who, and there are tons of great, and that's before the revival. The revival, even just if you started at the revival of Doctor Who and ran through, even that was awesome. Hey,
elitist.
You are probably. Did you get the Virgin Art Germ cover that they dropped yesterday? No.
What am I, made out of money?
You guess.
No, I didn't go work. I didn't go work with Art Germ this week.
Okay. Well, I didn't either yet, but fingers crossed.
It's a long drive for me, so.
I'm sure.
Not as long as yours drive, but.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so they it's essentially like they just shoved a bunch of cardboard cutouts in front of all of this great backstory and canon with what they've done in the last season. It hasn't worked. Just to shoehorn it in. Yeah. They shoehorned in a pre-Hartnell Doctor who was a black female Doctor that this Doctor did not recognize. Then they found a way to shoehorn in the fact that they hinted at a character called the Timeless Child. and the timeless child, everybody's like, well, I sure hope it's not the Doctor. I hope it's a new character. It was the Doctor. In other words, it feels like the writing has been super lazy.
Yeah. Chris Chibnall has been terrible, and I mean, all Doctor Who fans that I've listened to just can't stand it. And like I thought, I mean, I started watching Doctor Who when I think it's Eccleston or Eccleston played the Doctor, right? And then David Tennant did a great job. Matt Smith did a great job. Capaldi was all right, and then they, I don't know, they changed the Doctor to a female. I gave it a shot. I don't know if a female has the quirky in it. I mean, I'm not trying to offend any females here, but the Doctor's very quirky, and the males that play the Doctor usually tend to have that quirkiness down very well, and it doesn't feel forced. It seems natural. And the one thing, if you're like, you might be listening to me and saying, "Oh, this guy's like he hates women," but the Doctor always has these companions that are female. And the companions are just as cool and as important, as the Doctor. And so, like, to change it, I don't really want to see male companions. You know, I mean, I like the female companions, and I like the way that they interact with the Doctor, and I like the quirky Doctor. So, I mean, I think the bad writing, and then just, you know, making like why does the Doctor have to be a female? Like, why on one show, why can't it just continue to be the Doctor, you know, a guy? I mean,
well, I don't personally have a problem with a female. It's more the preachiness and the writing, honestly. And again, it would be different to me.
Maybe they need a better actress.
You know, I have relatives that think that it is the actress partly too. Now,
how about that girl from Orphan Black? She could do anything.
Yeah, you do need somebody that has that kind of range, because that's the other thing that happens with the Doctor. The Doctor can be offbeat and quirky and fun and joking, but then in an instant, the Doctor can turn into the most dangerous person in the universe, and you have to realize, you know, that actor has to be able to make that switch on a dime. That's one of the things I liked about Matt Smith. Quirky dude. He was a great, like, quirky Doctor, but when he switched it over and he went serious, you kind of thought that he was going to use a sonic screwdriver to stab somebody in the eye or something. Like, he got really serious. In like A Good Man Goes to War, you know, there are several ones of those. Demons Run, those shows in his run, he got really serious in a heartbeat, and it was a cool thing to see.
Well, Matt, and bringing up Matt Smith, Ian, have you seen The Rise of Skywalker?
No, not yet.
No. Okay, I'm the only one that did, so maybe I shouldn't talk about this. But
this is team. We didn't see anything.
There was.
We're woefully unprepared for this show. It's fine.
There was some rumors that Matt Smith actually showed up on the set for Star Wars, and in the Star Wars novelization that just came out, Palpatine's supposed to be a clone, and if he's a clone and he switched his consciousness from his dying body in Return of the Jedi to a new body, people have said, why would you pick an old decrepit body that looks exactly like the body that just died? So I'm thinking that Matt Smith might have, if they were going to go with the clone idea, Matt Smith was supposed to be like the younger Palpatine, the new body. And that would have been cool. I mean,
so are we talking about Doctor Who or Star Wars?
Yes. Like I say, this is a sci-fi potpourri. We're going to start comparing a lot, dude. We're going, man. We're going down this rabbit hole. I'm fixing to bring Lone Ranger into it.
Okay? Ian, let's start. Yeah. Let's make with the Wolverine books.
Oh yeah, you guys can start making with the Wolverine books. That's cool, man. That's cool.
No, we'll take it over. We'll take it over.
No, that's fine.
If Palpatine was reincarnated to Doctor Who? That's what we should think.
Is that what he's saying?
Kinda. Yeah. That's kind of what War Dog's saying. That's kind of what War Dog's saying.
What if Palpatine reincarnated to Doctor Who? What
All
would
right,
it be?
let's go to the chat.
What?
Donald Lamoureux says that Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith, and David Tennant were all original and amazing. Everyone after that just tried to be them. Peter got better as he went, but still a dismal second to all. Dennis Parrish writes, #elitist.
That's good. Hey, you missed one. You missed one. My daughter says hi, Dad, so I'll say hi back to her. That's cool
nice.
though. Yeah. It's not. It is nice. She's a nice.
So we also want to talk about The Expanse. Ian, have you watched The
Yes.
Expanse? No? Okay.
Ian doesn't watch
Dude,
anything. He reads.
I think
Dude,
I'm a
don't worry,
kid
Ian.
24/7,
Todd didn't watch
so
it yet either.
I'm
I told him about it.
It's okay, guys. I'll be the what do you call this?
You're just window dressing, Ian. It's cool. You're
Yeah.
like eye candy, homie.
Oh, I know what I gotta do. While you guys talk, I can show some comic books.
I work
Yes.
too. We're good with that. So Todd, tell us about The Expanse, man.
Well, maybe Camille should, because he's the one that talked. I guess he claims that he talked me into watching
I
it.
told you guys in the first episode on Comic Book Theater that you had me on, I told you about The Expanse. And then I get a message from you today going, hey, do you watch The Expanse? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I never heard of it. Sounds like a stupid show. I don't know why anybody would watch that. He still didn't get it. I
think
even
it
put
got
the little
canceled.
smirk emoji, like, right? And he's like, yeah, you got to watch it, dude. So I'm like, bitch, I told you about that shit on the first episode of this show. I was like, you gotta watch The Expanse. And you were like, oh yeah, I think I got that on Hulu or something. I started it, but I didn't finish. I gotta
Is it
finish
from
it.
Netflix?
It's on Amazon.
Amazon. Yep.
Amazon Prime Video.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It was originally on Sci-Fi and got canceled off Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
And
but they don't do well with anything. Like everything gets canceled off of there.
Honestly, with the success of The Expanse on Amazon, I'm actually hoping that Amazon or Netflix or Hulu might end up picking up, like Deadly Class or something like that. Ian knows sci-fi. You guys.
Are we talking about Star Wars? Are we talking about Doctor Who? Are we talking about The Expanse? So with The Expanse, yes, I do recall Brian telling me about it. Also, one of my favorite YouTubers, Doomcock on Overlord DVD. Doomcock, if you're watching this, we want to get you on the show sometime. But Doomcock also loved The Expanse, and he hates everything just like Brian. And so when Brian likes something and Doomcock likes something, that it's got to be pretty darn good. So, I mean, I gave it a shot after their recommendations, and I was blown away. First, there's 4 seasons out there, and
slow burn. They build the characters up just like the first couple seasons of Lost, man. They gave you a little bit of mystery to keep you going, but it's like a slow burn, and they build you up and build you up. The only difference is I don't think it's going to be a drop off like Lost was, where it was just like they started being like good episode, bad episode, whatever. Expanse is like every episode. It just feels like I'm just watching this perfect continuation.
It does. You know though that these are all based off of novels.
Novels that I haven't read yet.
Yeah,
and
same here.
From what I hear, people that are big fans of the novels say that this show is excellent, but the book is still better. So these books must be outstanding. I have to read them.
So just in the interest of kind of doing some extra research on my own, I found that they did essentially prequels or pre-character development type stuff, like backstory for each one of the main crew in comic book form through Boom Studios. The physical copy was released in a graphic novel, so all 4 of them were together. I got the digital form through Google Play, so they came as 4 separate issues. My only complaint about them at all is they're too short. They're one issue each, and they give you backstory. Yeah, just a taste. I really seriously think if they wanted to do it right, they would do like a 6-issue mini series for each one of them.
But is it a companion? Is it a companion to the show?
Kind of, yeah, because the deal is like they hint in the show, they hint at
It's the
they
Stranger Things. The Stranger Things books now are doing a good job of being a companion to the show. They don't ruin the show, and they tell the stories that they don't have time to tell on the show.
that is kind of it. That is kind of it. So you see, I'm trying to think here of you see Amos coming on board the ice freighter that gets blown up. You see him coming on board, and so you see an introduction there. You see James Holden when he's with the Earth Navy. You see that. I haven't read. I've only read 2 of the 4. But they were both good. Like I say, they were not not as in depth as I hoped they would be.
All right, guys. So I mean, we're talking about something, but I mean, we're trying to convince people to watch The Expanse so that we can continuously get more seasons of The Expanse. So can one of you guys like give a good summary of what The Expanse is? I would take a shot at it, but my arms are going to go flying all over the place. So raise your hand if you think you could give a good description of like what The Expanse is and what it's about. All right.
I can,
ahead.
but why don't you give yours first, and then I'll take a turn, and then John takes a turn like we always do. That's good.
That works.
All right, I'll take a stab at it. So there is Earth, Mars, and the Belt. All right. So there's different people living on each one of these different places. And there's kind of conflict between them. You know, there's struggle between them. Who's going to be more powerful? Who's more important? Then there's this. The show starts out with it's a space show.
Guys, have to go first, okay?
Okay.
Later.
All right, take care, bro.
Later, Ian. Come back if you can.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a space show. It takes place in space. The spaceships that are flying around are like done amazingly well. They have interesting flight patterns. There's a crew of 4 people. It's 4 people, right? Amos, James Holden, the pilot of the Rocinante is, I can't think of his name.
Alex.
Alex. And then there's the woman.
Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi. And so, I mean, you get to watch this crew going through space. And I'm going to stop there, and I'll let you guys pick up. So, I mean, John or Brian, pick up after me here.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so it's space politics, but it's also elements of noir, like detective noir, especially the first 2 seasons, very much so in the first season. That's why it's a little bit of a slow burn. But if you are a fan of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and the more political aspects of what's going on, we have colonized, as human beings have colonized our solar system. So we have ventured out to the point where we've covered our solar system. We're in the Kuiper Belt. So we got belters, like Todd said, they're in the Kuiper Belt, but they've been in space so long that they're almost like a different people. They can't even come to Earth. They're in severe pain. They're all tall and thin. We've colonized Mars. Mars is in the middle of trying to terraform, and they are very, very militant and very tough, strong people. You would have to be to live on a planet that's constantly trying to kill you. But they're very much kind of like Romulans, but they're like a cross between they're like a cross between like separatist Texans and like Romulans.
See,
because
I gotta feel more like it was Russian, like the old Soviet Union with the Cold War. That's the feel I got.
Kind of like that. But they're not. They're very like liberty for. Like that's why I say they're kind of like Texan like separatists. Like, yeah, we're Texas, we could break away at any time. Like they don't need anybody. They don't need the help. They're very isolationish. They kind of have a chip on their shoulder because they've done it all themselves, and Earth just squanders. We're talking about people that are second, third, fourth generation Martians. They don't know nothing of Earth. They've never been to Earth, so they look at people on Earth. They didn't have to make. They didn't have to build their planet up to be livable like the Martians did. So they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Their military trains extra hard because anytime a Martian does have to invade Earth, they have to be extra because they don't have like if Earthlings invade Mars, there's less gravity. So we're like superhuman there. So they have to be, they got their exosuits and stuff, but they're very kind of Romulan. Then you got your Belters. They're kind of like working class. What do you say that accent is? Like almost like a South African, maybe like some Kiwi in there, some poppycock. They're very cool people. A little Jamaican, and they feel like they were always getting shit on because they're like the miners, and they don't have a home. Like the Kuiper Belt is their home, so they're kind of nomadic in space. And it's just, we haven't, as much as we've done in our solar system, we still haven't found any sign of life outside the solar system. So we haven't made contact with any ETs, and we're still all just fighting with each other. Like nothing's changed except for there's just more of us everywhere. It's pretty much like politics as usual. Which is also very interesting. It like takes you into like human nature if you want to think about stuff like that. That's why I say it's got a lot of like Deep Space Nine in it.
Well, see, that's the one thing though that ends up happening is the introduction of what they call the proto-molecule. Whenever the proto-molecule shows up, that is extra. They call it extrasolar or something like that. They don't just call it extraterrestrial. They call it that. They know that it's from outside of our solar system.
But they don't actually.
Well, they theorize that it is. They do theorize that in the end, but that's when you find out that not just those three factions, not just the Belters, the Earthers, and the Martians, but then you have these scientists that are kind of rogue that have found the proto-molecule, and they just want to see what happens with it. And they don't care who they experiment on, those kind of things. Kind of like you were saying where the Belters are getting crapped on all the time. They decide they're going to just start experimenting on the Belters with this proto-molecule.
And that goes wrong for them.
It does go terribly wrong.
We don't want to give them too much, but
right. But the good thing is like you say, first season kind of a bit of a slow burn. There's action in it for sure.
Definitely an adventure. It's a space adventure. It's noir, elements of noir. There's a mystery. There's suspense. Mm-hmm. There's science fiction, but it's all very relatable.
And Thomas Jane playing a weird role.
Thomas Jane is amazing in everything he does.
He was really good. I ain't gonna lie to you, I was a little shocked that he was as good in it as he was. But I won't make that mistake again, because next time he's in something, I'm gonna be pumped to see it. Yeah, absolutely.
People would have liked what they should have did with the Punisher that he did. They should have called it Punisher War Journal, because he's the only one that narrated, really. I mean, I know Dolph Lundgren did a little bit, but he was like narrating like Punisher War Journal. He would do like journal entries and to like talk to you, and it's like breaking the fourth wall a little bit, like when he would be setting up his traps and stuff. Thomas Jane is the only one who did that properly.
I would be down with that.
Yeah, and he was awesome.
They should have called it Punisher War Journal, and they should have stayed away from doing the origin.
Well, at that point, they felt like everybody had to have an origin because nobody knew what any of the heroes were. So
yeah, nobody knows what the Punisher is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do, but 99% of the public has no idea who
they know. My dad knows, and he hates superhero stuff.
He did even back then?
My dad knows what a Punisher is. He saw the Dolph Lundgren one.
Okay. All right, well.
At the time, though, he had no clue it was a superhero. If he did, he wouldn't have watched it.
Right. So, But anyway, if you had to rank this among all time your sci-fi shows, where would you guys rank it? Because my opinion is I'd say probably top 5 or 6 all time for me personally. I mean, and I know that's a pretty strong showing, but I mean, you got to factor in the fact that this has had 4 seasons. I think that personally that makes it bump Firefly down
You're
a
talking about
peg.
space-based sci-fi.
Yeah, space-based
Okay,
sci-fi
okay.
like Star Wars, and I would even consider Star Wars and Star Trek in there. Of course, those franchises historically are top 2. But I mean,
To quote Dame Drops, I'm giving it a 5 all day, son.
what
Yeah,
do you think, Todd?
you know, I don't really, I don't like to like pick and choose and say this is the best one or this one isn't the best one, right? I think that this show is perfectly done, though. It's a beautiful watch. It's got an awesome story. It's got spaceships and that are different and unique.
Realistic.
They have humans, like they have magnetic shoes where they can walk in space. I mean, there's so many cool things. There's this. I'll give you one little spoiler. There's this one dude that's like a space racer, and he's in his ship, and he's in the show for like maybe like 15 minutes, and he's racing his spaceship, and then something happens to him, and it's hilarious. And I don't even know why he was in that show, but it was really cool. I mean, just showing you like a different side of like what's going on in space, right? And then also, I mean, the whole diversity thing in this show, we were talking about Doctor Who, right? In this show, it's done so beautifully well. I mean, it is so natural.
It feels natural, right?
Not forced. The president of the Earth is this Indian lady. She is amazing.
She doesn't become the president till the 3rd season. She's a deputy to the and they're under the UN though, so it's a weird political structure.
Yeah,
But yes,
it's become like it's a one world government on the planet Earth. We've got a one world.
The United
The
Nations.
gay frogs have taken over.
Alex, you joined the show. What's up with that, man? We're not going to be able to be monetized ever on YouTube. I can
I
already
weaseled my
tell.
way back on. You can't silence the truth, folks. I got the documents right here, folks.
Elitist.
It's very relatable. The show is super relatable. Even though it's futuristic, you can relate to seeing this happening in the future. Like, it's believable.
Oh yeah. Well, and just like that, there's that's one of the other things that I like about the show is and I have heard it referred to as possibly one of the most scientifically accurate sci-fi shows that's ever been done.
It's
I've heard
definitely
that in several places as well.
It's definitely a sci-fi science fiction show for futurists.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely, it is. We take for granted that we're only going forward in everything, that humankind is always getting better, but just like that, those who stayed on Earth, the vast majority of those, it has become a socialist state, and the vast majority of people are born, they live their entire life, and they die on public assistance. And it's really weird how it's stratified that way too, but they don't really hide it in the show or in the books. And I've listened to one of the audiobooks, I've read the comics, so I'm getting a little bit more backstory. But I mean, Amos is from Baltimore, and basically kind of just, you get the feeling, from the show that he's not exactly who he says he is. He's got
the
a pretty
Mr.
dark
T of
past.
the show.
He is.
Yeah, that's
He-
good
but
call.
He is the B.A. Baracus of that show.
He's a sociopath though too, in the worst way. In that, like, when he flips that switch, if he doesn't recognize a friendly voice telling him to stop doing that, he's just
Yeah.
gonna go on murdering people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the character dynamics in this are just so well done too. I mean, Alex, the pilot, has got such an interesting story himself. James Holden's kind of like almost psychic, and I mean that would probably be the best way I could put it. He's the one that's kind of interacting with Thomas Jane and interacting
Not
with.
of his own will. That's the psychic thing is kind of forced on him.
It is.
Can't give too much.
But
though.
in
Can't give
a
too
way, wait. In a way, he chooses it. I think we can talk about the characters though, and the archetypes that they are. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about Amos being the BA. He's the cat that he's the problem solver. He doesn't mind getting dirty.
Yeah, Alex's face.
Yeah, a bit, because he tries to charm people. He does try and charm people. I was just watching the episode in the first season where they're trying to get through Martian space, and they can't get the codes fast enough to imply that they're a spec ops unit, and he's like trying to shimmy around and dance all over the comms with these guys to get them to not board the Rosinante, you know. Anyway, so yeah, he's got a little bit of con man in it.
He's a very lovable character on the show.
Oh yeah,
Very relatable to like anybody.
It's a shock in the first season, the first time you see it, to find out that he's a Martian. As easygoing as he is, and the way that they portray the Martians in the first season, it's to me it was anyway.
But how long? but you know, once you find out why he's out there on a mining ship, then you figure out, well, that's why he couldn't cut it, because he's a bit of a fuck up. But he's good at what he does.
He sure ain't bad.
He Han Solo's the shit out of the Rocinante.
That's true. Wait, are we talking Star Wars or are we talking Expanse?
It's got elements of everything.
It does.
I think it's cool the way those ships flip to do the reverse thruster.
Well,
and the machine guns, those rail guns that they shoot, man, that's so cool. So cool. The exosuit.
The exosuits for the Martians.
That woman is a phenomenal actress.
I agree.
What she's doing.
Which one? The black lady? The cute black lady?
The Martian.
Oh, the sexy Martian with that crazy voice.
The Martian Marine.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love her.
She's very unique. She has a very unique look about her. Fantastic actress. She does a good job. I love the character.
Well, Naomi too. I mean, I love her.
Oh yeah.
And she's grown on me. Like, you know, by the end of the first season, I'm like, I love this woman.
She definitely did grow on me as well. At first, you're not sure who is supposed to be likable in the show at all, at least in my opinion, because the Secretary General of the UN, she's interrogating that Belter and basically torturing the cat, but it's kind of implied that she might supposed to be the quote good guy, but then you get James Holden. Is he a good guy? He reports the distress signal, records the distress signal, so they have to go, you know, so he screws a bunch of stuff up. You know, Amos isn't a good guy. He might be on the good side, but he's not a good guy. He's that guy.
He's the Punisher.
Yeah, that a little bit too.
He's got some Punisher in him.
That reminds me of Wreck-It Ralph, where just because we're bad, it doesn't mean that we're bad. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, Amos. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can finish your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Amos plays the likable, not so good guy, and I mean, I think that's my best explanation of Amos. But you like him because he's intriguing, he's interesting, and you don't know when he's gonna flip. Yeah,
he's a flat out badass.
Yeah, I think he's a combination of B.A. Baracus and the Punisher, kind of.
Definitely more willing to kill than BA was.
He's a bully that bullies the bullies.
They in the book and in the show they call him a skilled novice. Like, he's not spec ops or anything like that. He's not the cat he's not like the Martian Marine was, where she's
Right.
just got ridiculous training.
He's a
Just
grunt.
he's got an innate ability
He's battle hardened grunt.
Yeah, well, life hardened. He's life hardened. Like, okay, so backstory on him, because one of the novellas, I didn't actually get to listen to the whole novel. I got to listen to a novella, which is more backstory on Amos. That was the first one I got to listen to. He born in Baltimore. He's an unregistered birth to a prostitute, and so he's grown up from day one a very hard life. His mother died when he was very young, so he's learned through being on the streets, but never really developed like not a moral compass. He relies on other people to kind of be his moral compass. But he seems to always just peel away all the BS from all of it and know what the proper action is at the time, as far as, if I want to accomplish this, I have to do that, regardless of what anybody else says or
I know
does or thinks.
if you notice when you're watching the show, right, he'll say like, or make a mention like, hey, you want me to kill him? Or something like that. And then it's almost like he's foreshadowing, like he already determined that this individual has to go, right? And then everybody tries to not be that. And then in the end, he ends up having to be that anyway. So he's almost psychic himself, because he'll foreshadow it in an episode, like who's the big bad? He calls it before anybody. He's like already at it.
Well, that actually, the novella that is his backstory, you guys heard him refer to in season 1. You heard him refer to the churn. We're caught in the churn. Whenever they find the spy, and he's just like, "Hey, we're caught in the churn. It's either going to be you or me. The rules of survival have changed. It's the churn." The churn is actually the name of his novella backstory, which again is it's worth a read or listen.
He sizes them up.
Oh yeah, immediately. He in that novella, he's sizing up the main crime boss in Baltimore during the time. He's just a low-level grunt, like a bodyguard, like bill collector, knee breaker kind of cat. And the very first time you're introduced to him, because they don't use the name Amos, you're not sure exactly who he is till he starts to talk. But they set it up that basically if he doesn't answer exactly the right way, he's going to get murdered like right then and there by the crime boss. And it's not going to be any skin off his nose at all. It's just going to murder him and find somebody else to do the job he was doing. So, I mean, again, there's a reason why I think that a lot of people have gravitated towards him, even though he's a psychopath.
He's that Wolverine character, man.
A little bit, yeah, man.
You know,
he's got a little bit of all of that in him.
People always like that. He's a little Gambit, a little Wolverine. Is the bad boy. You know what? You know my favorite. One of my favorite things about that show is there's no true big bad in the show. Even the worst people in the show that end up being the villain of the show, you still get to see everybody's side of things, and you start to see that it's a very gray show. It's not black and white. You get to relate, like you start off, they're like, man, these belters are kind of scumbags. You know what I mean? They're kind of like dreadnoughts almost. You know what I mean? You immediately are like, whoa. And then you got the OBA, and they seem kind of like terrorists. But then you find out like you can relate to their story too, and then you start sympathizing with them. And then you're like, oh, okay. Everybody gets their chance. Everybody gets their chance to get hated on in the show, and everybody gets their chance at redemption, or at least you understand where they're coming from. Even the big bad of the last season, you still got to see where that guy is coming from, why he is the way he is. And then it's not like justifying anything, but you can understand. You can relate to it.
it gives all of the characters depth. And again, that was one of the things that is and I know I'm going to go back to this a little bit. I'm going to beat this dead horse. That's been one of the complaints about Doctor Who. A lot of these characters have been around, and they're just very shallow, not very well developed characters, and they absolutely should be and could be.
Augie says that he's got a little bit. I guess Amos has a little bit of Augie in him.
That might be true. That might be true. Augie Doggy.
He is always waving that knife around.
I'm saying.
I don't know. Augie seems like a pretty nice guy. I think Amos might be a little bit nastier than Augie. I see Augie more as like the Alex character.
Amos is a straight up pit bull. He's a pit bull.
We've done a pretty deep dive on Amos. Let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk about Naomi some. She's, they imply heavily OPA ties in the first season. The for most of that season, you're 99% sure that they're a terrorist organization, and she knows a lot more than the average Joe should about the OPA. How do you guys feel about her? Like, is there something about her backstory that you'd still like to see them develop? Anything like that?
I think they're doing a good job with all the characters in their development, like showing everybody's. I know that hers is a little bit more secretive, but I think that's part of her character for it to be a little bit more secretive.
I think season 5 we're going to get a lot of her.
She's still hiding something too.
Well, she kind of is,
but it makes her more interesting.
It does.
Well, she's also the James Holden love interest, and I think she always kind of pulls him back, and at the same time he pulls her back. So because where I said Holden was kind of psychic, he's got some crazy things going on. Naomi is kind of what grounds him and brings him back. Same thing with her and her ties. Holden's the one that always brings her back. And all I can say about her is I love her. I think she's beautiful. I mean, that's all I got on Naomi.
All right. Well, I mean, that's fair enough. She's, they do say that she has a double engineering degree or some such thing. So she's ridiculously smart. Like she's the one that honestly, of all 4 of the people that end up on the Rosinante,
she had the least amount of opportunity and still pulled herself up by her bootstraps, so to speak.
She did, but you know what? They did it so well. I don't hear anybody with any resentment towards it. I don't hear anybody calling it some of the buzzwords that you would hear associated with like a Captain Marvel or you know what I'm saying? Like what we were talking about before. She is the definition of diversity. Really.
Yeah, but the Belters are diverse.
So well.
The Belters are diverse anyways. I mean, they're even their whole dialect of the way they talk it's like another language. And
well, they use some sign language too.
Yeah, they use some sign language too, because when they're in space, you can't hear, you can't talk, or you're in an airlock, you still need to communicate. So they have that sign language thing too, which is cool. It's good writing, and I like how ultimately the way they solve everything is for everybody to work together. You ever notice that? It really is that when it comes down to it, that to me, that's the message of the show. Like, we're all human beings, even though we're not all earthlings, but they are all human beings. We all have that tie that we're to humanity. Right. And the people don't realize it at the time because everybody's posturing for their thing. But I mean, you could apply the same message from the show that we're never going to be able to get past this hurdle as a species if we don't all work together. It's the only way. Because you can't do it without the Belters, because they're out there mining the water in deep space. You can't do it without the Martians, because that's who's going to protect the solar system. Their military is bar none. They could take anybody out if they really want to.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
then-
they have stealth tech.
But I think what I like about it is because they're Romulans.
Right.
No,
Right.
but what I'm saying is like the entire solar system, we've conquered it, but we still haven't conquered our divisions as people. And it's not even, it's like we're past like a black and white thing now, because like take Alex, for example. He looks Indian, but he talks with a Texas accent, which that's explained. If you want, there's some YouTube videos you could watch where it explains it. I guess in the novels, it was the area that they settled on Mars. They were a bunch of Texans and Indians that settled that part of Mars. That's hence his Texas accent. So he's basically a Martian Texan. So it's like we've gotten past the skin thing. It's not a skin thing anymore. It's this thing that's inherent in humans that we just constantly have to like
We go back to
have
our
this
tribes.
division. We have this division within us, but the only way that we can move on to the next step is everybody works together, because that's how they solve everything on the show. It's like when everybody clicks and everybody stops and they start communicating with each other, that's when they start, getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. They tried to do that a lot with Star Trek, but it comes off a little cornballish on Star Trek, which are in this show, it doesn't. It feels very natural and realistic.
Yeah, very, very organic. Very organic. I enjoy the way they've done it for sure. And again, to me, it points out the fact that if it's well written, you're not going to have nerds like us complaining about it. You're going to have us loving it. We really don't, because I mean, a lot of what we're talking about ends up in the political realm one way or another. And if you write it poorly, we're going to complain about it because we feel like we're being preached at. If you write it well, it's acted well, we're just gonna love it. We're going to take the positive away from it, regardless of which side of the aisle we might fall on. And we're going to dig it.
Well, and I think there's no Mary Sue type characters, either male Mary Sue's. I don't know what the male version of a Mary Sue is, but there's no male Mary Sue. I guess maybe it would be a Barry.
No, it's called a war dog.
All right. So there's no Mary Sue war dogs, and there's no Mary Sue females, because there's that one Marine female as well who kicks ass. And once again,
but they break her down as soon as she goes to Earth.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody gets broken down. Everybody in the show gets built up, and everybody gets broken down, or they get broken down and then built up. But everybody has their weaknesses and their strengths. Is really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. And I mean, going back to the whole Mary Sue thing, I mean, I think everybody kind of earns your respect. You watch the show, and there's not one character that you're saying, why does this character have this ability? You see them grow, right? And that makes the story so much better. I mean, everybody's got an arc. Like like Han Solo had a wonderful arc, one of the best arcs in sci-fi, and this show has got like a bunch of Han Solo arcs.
Well, I like the fact that they find a way to tie them all together and then pull them all apart, and inevitably they tie them all back together again.
You know what I like about the Martian. What is the Martian female's name in the show?
I think they call her Gunny so much after she gets on the Rosinante.
Yeah, let's call her Gunny.
Okay,
let's be respectful. Call her Gunny. So you know what I love about her is she's vulnerable, even though she's very, very courageous. But it's almost like when Hulk, when she jumps into her exosuit, when she gets in her exosuit, her Marine issue exosuit, it's almost like when the Hulk turns green. You know what I mean? When Banner turns green, and you're like, oh, here it comes. And that's how it is with her. Like, she's very vulnerable, even though she does a lot of courageous stuff. Like, when she doesn't have her suit, but like when she puts that suit on, it's like her cape, and it's like da 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 da, and you know she's gonna come to the rescue and do badass stuff. But you know, even that, you know, machines can be broken, so it's never like she's never in danger. She's in danger a lot. She's very courageous. It's not like she's in an Iron Man suit and nothing can happen to her. I mean, it's a cool suit, but definitely when she puts it on, it is that feel like when Iron Man puts his suit on, you're like, all right, let's go mess some stuff up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Well, I think one of the things that when we're introduced to her, she's arm wrestling her exoskeleton, her exosuit.
Yeah.
She's arm wrestling it and beats it.
Yeah.
And that's where you're like, all right, we're gonna have to pay attention to her because there's something going on. She's not gonna get spaced. She's not gonna end up, you know, she's not gonna end up just a 2 or 3 episode and gone character, you know.
Oh no. She's gonna keep going, especially if you watch the last season. It was a doozy. It was intense.
Oh yeah.
Like camping.
Yeah, the last season had one of the best villains in it throughout this series. The dude was also in the Washington Spies show. He played one of the British generals or British officers, and he does a phenomenal job. And at the end of season 4, seeing what happens to him was just like perfection.
He's excessively hateable. Like you can really just before he even gets off the shuttle that he's landing in, which doesn't actually land, it crashes. But the fact that he survives that shuttle crash, you're kind of like, that's a bummer. I know who I'm going to hate this season.
Yeah, but even him, he even has his time where they show you why he is the way he is, and you're kind of like Amos. You're like, yeah, this guy's gonna have to get put down. I get it. It's nothing personal. It's just you are past the point of no return.
Yeah.
Amos sees it right away, but he does that with everybody. So
I get the feeling with Amos, there's going to be there has to at some point be somebody that he doesn't call it right on, and whichever way he doesn't call it right on, it's either going to cost him or the crew dearly. Because I really don't think you go through the end of the show and all 4 of them survive.
Or whoever it was that is in question saves his ass.
That could be it too. Because I mean,
maybe snaps him out of it a little bit.
Maybe. Well, that's one of his arcs part of his arc is realizing that there's something broken in him that kind of makes him the way that he is, and wondering if it can be fixed or not. You know what I mean?
Elitist.
The only thing that worries me about this last season is, are we going to see Thomas Jane again? Because Thomas Jane is become a very interesting character.
EVS for $1.
So you're thinking Thomas Jane might not be in next season. Is that what you're saying, Todd?
Well, yeah, the way that the season 4 ended.
I'm about 99% sure that he's not going to be in it at all. Now, he may have a flashback at some point, but I don't think there will be anything new for him. Real world wise, I think that his contract is up with the show, if I'm not mistaken. So, but there again, having watched YouTube videos with interviews with the cast and stuff, they all seem to enjoy what they're doing right now. So, you know, I wouldn't say he never comes back, but I don't know that he's going to be back next season.
Well, let's just hope we don't get a Game of Thrones ending and these people decide that all of a sudden they want to just jump ship and the directors decide, you know what, we're done with this, even though we can go probably like 3 or 4 more seasons with this wonderfully beautiful, awesome show.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, there are 7 books right now. This last season, they ended at the beginning of book 5, I think. So they have 2 more books. There's another book coming for sure.
So we're not going to get George R. Martin on this one?
Who knows, man? Who knows? You know how they can be, but you hold out hope that won't be the way this is. Just saying.
I just like calling it George R. Martin because he could have wrote that last book, and we could have had a beautiful ending to this beautiful story that went on for 8 years. And George R. Martin, I think George R. Martin was just sitting back laughing, and it was like, I'm gonna just give you this much, and then that's it. I'm gonna die.
Maybe he had nothing.
Look at Robert Kirkman with The Walking Dead. Sometimes cats just don't have anything left in the tank for a certain project. They want to move to something different, and they're like, yeah, kill the main character, give a bit of a backstory on the fact that main character is really gone, and then do a flash forward of 20 years to old man Carl.
Well, you want to talk about The Walking Dead, man. The Walking Dead, people think that The Walking Dead is about the zombies. They're The Walking Dead. Walking Dead is the group. They're The Walking Dead. Everywhere they go, they cause havoc.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go, they just destroy. Nice.
Wonder Woman 750, Archer.
Elitist.
Yeah.
Elitist.
For sure.
Speaking of Thomas Jane, you all reading this?
I've not.
It's Ennis, man. It's classic Ennis. It's good. It's so good.
Somebody at Outright Geekery put that on their nerd picks this week.
This is the only Marvel sub I have. I don't sub anything else Marvel, just this. I don't sub regular Punisher. It's awful. I just like this. Ennis. He should be still doing the regular runs of Punisher. No one else till he's dead. It's great, man. It's great.
So let's. I think we've sufficiently sold everybody on the Expanse. I hope we have anyway. Let's do a quick talk here on the coronavirus. Who wants to talk? Who wants to really talk coronavirus with me? And the fact that I believe it was it Emerald City Comic-Con, I believe. They didn't. What's up? You want to talk non-canon Batman?
I want to talk about there's nothing about this that has any kind of a hot button topic for right now. I mean, this doesn't ring any bells.
Is that who's the writer?
The same guy as the artist, Todd. The same guy as the artist.
Oh.
I can't think of his name at the moment. I know there was a little bit of controversy with him in the LGBTQ. I hope I got all the letters community because he did something. I didn't really read the story, but
yeah, he was gonna do a book cover for the Earthworm Jim guy. A Kickstarter cover, or not a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo cover for Earthworm Jim.
Is this Sean Gordon Murphy? Is Sean Gordon Murphy?
Yeah, he was going to do a cover for him, and I guess the SJWs flipped out about it and started saying that you're going to do a cover for this guy, and he hates gays and all this stuff, and he's a conservative. Doug TenNapel's a conservative and very religious and all of that, and I guess I don't know if I was SGM. I would have not apologized for anything, and I would have been like, when you start stroking my checks, this guy stroking a check for me. You know what I mean? So when you start stroking me checks, then I'll start bending a knee to whatever you want me to do. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not getting the Earthworm Jim. I don't care about Earthworm Jim, but I mean, I wouldn't have got that cover anyways because I'm not going to spend that much money, even though I love Sean Gardner Murphy, on something that I don't really care about the project anyways. I just think it's stupid that in current year, this is what it's come to. You got to go and do a Twitter apology to save your job because you want to make a comic book cover for a creator. I mean, people, their panties are that much in a wad all the time.
So this is my 2 cents on it. Is the unfortunate truth of the matter is we're in a point in time in our society where if you apologize, it doesn't actually fix anything. Nobody's willing to actually accept an apology if you do
No.
apologize, and that's sad. But on the flip side of that, let's say you do apologize and some people take the apology. All it does is let them know that you're willing to apologize for anything, even if you're not in the wrong. Even if you're not in the wrong. And so you're feeding that mob mentality. Now, and let's be real here, we had an instance with something like that just yesterday in the Facebook collectors community with Josh Biddle posting the Hansi, the girl who loved the swastika book.
Yeah.
He didn't have to apologize. He gets reported. Facebook bans him for 90 days. No review, zero tolerance. If you are reported for something like that, and Facebook doesn't have any idea what that book is even about.
No, it's just a bot. A bot scans it, sees the swastika, and takes it off.
Gone, and you're done for 90 days. Again, regardless of the content of the book or the historical value, any of it. So I guess technically, if I want to be a jerk about it, if you're somebody I don't like on Facebook, and you post a Captain America Golden Age book and it's got a swastika on it, and I want to report you for being a racist, bam, dude, you're gone for 90 days.
And what determines 90 days? I mean, so because it should probably be more like 30 days or lifetime. I mean, like you're either like, I'm going to give you a break, or we completely 100% disagree with posting anything with a swastika. And if you do it, you're done. Why 90 days?
All those old school Captain America and Avengers books where you got Red Skull on there with his crew, they got swastikas that you could get reported for. It's nonsense. And I don't know about any kind of appeals. I've never been booted from Facebook ever, so I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, guys, we all know Josh Biddle. Come on, dude. There's not. I highly doubt there's a racist bone in that cat's body. He's too nice of a dude, to be honest. Like he's nicer than any of the three of us for sure.
Yeah, once they report it, the bots scan it, and that's it.
Right, I get that, but what I'm saying though is you should at least have the ability to appeal it.
Yeah,
and I think that some people, I've never been booted from Facebook either, so I don't know if there's an appeal process for any of that or not.
We will be now.
Well, probably, dude. I posted the mouse.
Yeah, Donald just said he just reported this whole stream.
That's awesome. Thank you, Donald. We appreciate your support. That's awesome, dude. Please do report it. I'm curious to see what happens.
Well,
at this point,
actually, I've been watching YouTubers in their videos. If they mention coronavirus, they get defunded. So they have to be very careful talking about coronavirus. So I mean, you brought that up, and I mean to get back to that.
I've been telling you guys for the longest. It's the gay frogs, and they're in outer space. And this is all the globalists, the globalist agenda, the reptilians.
Well, it's supposed to be a created virus, so there may have been an agenda behind that. But I mean, from the comic book and movie perspective with this, I mean, I think that might be where you were going with this. People are kind of afraid to go to the movies, I guess. I was in the dollar store and this old lady was stocking up on toilet paper, but she couldn't reach it on the top shelf. So she's like, "Oh, young man, come over here and get that toilet paper off the top shelf for me."
And then Todd stole the last toilet paper from the little old lady, ran out of the store with it.
Yeah, because it was the one with aloe in it.
No,
Probably was.
it's the dollar
He
store,
let-
man.
He
don't
left the
have aloe.
vegan toilet. Hang on, he left the vegan toilet paper for her. That's what he did. He left the vegan toilet paper for her.
Soilet paper.
Yes.
No, I was like, you might want the extra strength, ma'am.
So let's be
Four-ply.
real here. In the United States, the likelihood of you dying from the coronavirus is extremely low.
Depends who you are, though.
Well, I mean, of course, but again, we live in a country that's got, if not the world's best medical care, among the world's best medical care. Regardless of whether we have, whether comic book nerds have good hygiene or not. Dude, did you just pull a congressman on us? Road dog.
A Stallwell.
Well,
Did you pull
my
Stallwell on
my
us?
wife is watching TV, and I know she can hear that we're starting to talk about Corona. So
Get her over here. Get her over
Yeah,
here.
man. Yeah. Hey,
She's
look,
a nurse, and she could give us.
There's been
tell us.
there's been 17
they're
deaths.
asking for you in the stream, babe.
There's been 17 deaths in the United States from coronavirus.
She's like,
No, this doesn't want to mess with it. Look, but again, 17 deaths in the United States. Now, worldwide, big deal, yeah. Couple thousand deaths. And, in third world countries, I would say that if you get the coronavirus, possible death sentence, yeah, maybe. The United States, man, the vast majority of people who have it are going to get treated. They're going to walk out. No big deal.
yeah, it's going to be bad for people that already have breathing problems to begin with, the COPD and stuff like that, and of course, like people with a weakened immune system, cancer patients, stuff like that. They got to be real careful. So, your babies, you don't want babies getting it.
Right, but the
very old and the very young, you don't want to get it.
So then the question becomes: do you think that a con like Emerald City Comic Con, which postponed, everybody's saying maybe till May or June, do you think they're overreacting, or do you think that they're being legitimate with being precautious?
Here's the thing: the majority of the people get it and they survive it, but the majority of people get it and then they're taking it home and they're going to school and they're going to places that other people that can't handle it will be exposed to it. So it's kind of like you'll end up being your own worst enemy. But I don't know that we need to cancel things. I think.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
we have an Ian situation.
Yes, we do.
We have an Ian situation.
I'm glad we have him in this facial expression. This
That's
is perfect.
awesome. So we're going to start. Oh, man, he's back.
Oh, yep.
No, I mean, there's precautions that everybody can take. Internet, it says my internet's unstable, but it's coming back.
All right, you're good.
There's precautions people can take. Is canceling everything a good idea? I don't know. Maybe educate people a little bit more. Like maybe give people some space at the cons, but that's hard too. So, I mean, who's to say, man? Who's to say?
Look, what it boils to, what I think it really boils down to is the legal liability. I think that the con cannot legally sustain the liability. All it would take would be one or two people, confirmed cases of coronavirus that attended.
It's
and then
2 week. It's 2 week incubation period. There's no telling where they would have got it.
Yeah, but dude, you and I both know people. There are junk lawsuits out there all over the place.
You can't sue somebody because you catch the flu at a con.
I don't know, man.
I'm
I'm not. You're saying you can't. I'm saying that people do dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can sue somebody for anything. You can sue somebody for anything, but I don't think that you're going to be able to sue anybody for getting.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. That a reasonable person, with what you said about a 2 week gestation period and stuff like that, not being able to know exactly where it was you caught it from. I get it, but again,
I think people should just have a reasonable amount of concern.
Well, just
But
be
not everybody can do
responsible.
that. You
Just
know
be
what I mean?
responsible for yourself, though, man. Like
Yeah.
wash your hands often. Don't drink after other people. Don't cough in people's faces. If
Yeah.
you feel sick, stay home.
Are
It's
people going to do that? You know what I mean?
no. That's the downside. Is
Because
no.
they already paid their however much $200 or $300 for their 4-day passes or whatever they want.
With fast passes
They
for
won't
all the guests and all that stuff. No, I
do.
get it.
Yeah. So, it's hard to say, man. At this point, you know what is, because I mean you don't want the meek to suffer just because we can all handle it, and for the most part, and then you have the weaker kills all. Survival of the fittest. It's crazy.
Are you?
Now we're getting philosophical.
Are you going Darwin on us right here
I
in the middle
know.
of the podcast?
It kind
Come
of
on,
is, but I
man.
mean, we need to pick them up. I don't know, man. I think we just need a reasonable amount of concern. I don't think that people need to panic. I think these people that are buying up hand sanitizer and then selling it on eBay for a lot of money is disgusting.
I mean,
You can't buy
if
anything
it's
at the store, man.
but
Not
if
here in
it's
Florida.
but if
You
it's
can't.
got, does it have
You,
sparkles in it? Does it have glitter in it?
you
'Cause
can't get the hand sanitizer at Publix. It's all gone. And damn well you log into eBay and you see it on there. They want $15-$20 for a bottle of hand sanitizer or some sanitary wet wipes, some antibacterial. They're bulking up on it. They're speculatars.
they're speculating on toilet paper.
That's what they're doing.
What? Oh, crud. Alfred and Kara had what they call that. It was a new cryptocurrency. I can't remember what they called it. It was like it was some riff on Bitcoin, and I can't remember what they called it last night. Oh well. They were saying that toilet paper was the new cryptocurrency.
Dennis
Anyway.
Purge writes, "Con crud is bad enough. I don't want to get the coronavirus trying to score a sweet dollar bin book."
Well, dude, Dennis. Now wait, Dennis is the one that's likely to tell everybody he has coronavirus, so that he can be the only one standing at the dollar bins. That's the way Dennis is. I know how Dennis operates.
Donald writes that it's easy to be nonchalant, but I'd rather err on the side of caution for my kids' sake. Fair enough.
No, I'm down with that.
I don't think that's out of the question. People saying, I'm not going to attend because of X, Y, and Z. I get that. I don't know if it needs to be canceled, but I think everybody should just have reasonable about amount of caution and be responsible. And if you don't feel like it's a good idea for you to go out in public, then don't.
Well, do you think it was canceled though because they were concerned people wouldn't show up to the show and therefore it wouldn't pull in enough money to make it profitable to do?
I'm worried, man. There's so many international artists that aren't going to be at any of these cons. If they don't do something with this thing, MegaCon could get canceled too. At least for me, it's like, why would I even go? Because I mean, if there's not going to be any of these international artists that do all these variant covers, other than going to dig through dollar bins.
So this is my thing on it is Emerald City, MegaCon, some of these, even Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City. These are all what I would consider a mid-level, just below like maybe NYCC and San Diego Comic-Con. Like we all have to agree that those are the preeminent ones that if you're an artist, if you're a creator, you're dying to get into those places because they're where everybody, the masses are going. Even C2E2 is, I would think, would be a slightly lower con than those two. My concern is that all it would really take is 1 or 2 years in a row of either bad attendance or possibly having to cancel for something like coronavirus. And those cons may not stick around. I really don't think that the promoters make as much money in those cons as the common fan thinks that they would make. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not making anything, But I mean, after you've got the guests that show up that they're like paying to show up,
Yeah.
the rental of the space, all of the insurances and things like that, they may not be, like I say, I just don't think that they're probably making as much as we might think that they're making. They're not really raking it in. So you get two years in a row of either really horrible turnout or a cancellation and then really horrible turnout. Those cons may cease to exist.
Well, let me ask you guys: would you guys go to like a big con in your area now?
I haven't canceled my MegaCon tickets.
If I can get to Planet Comic Con, I'm going, and that's on the 20th through the 22nd. So yeah, I have no now, and I'll tell you too, in the interest of full disclosure, Kansas City is on the opposite side of the state from St. Louis, but St. Louis just had their first. They called it a confirmed probable coronavirus.
Yeah, that's when the government actually gives them approval that now they're going to test for the coronavirus. People think that you can just go to the doctor and get tested for the coronavirus. You can't. It has to be, the government has to approve you to get tested for it, which is kind of crazy. Like somebody was talking about on some post I saw, they were saying, oh, you go to the doctor and they wanted $4,000 for a coronavirus test. No, that's bullshit. They're not allowed to administer. It doesn't matter if you had $1 million, that test, unless the government deems it necessary. Like they don't just have the testing kits available. They are presented to the healthcare facility to do the test on said individual if they determine that it's serious enough that they want to look into it.
Do you think that the cons are looking at social media and the new our I mean, let's face it, our news is pretty much bull crap for the most part. You think that these cons are listening to that? And when you go on to like social media and Twitter and people, I see a lot of people bitching about like movies and stuff, right? And then, but they're not the person that goes to see the movie. Like, so people are bitching about like, so maybe they're canceling the con based off of these people that aren't going to actually go to the con, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
I think I really think the con cancellations is because Carla Cohn ain't gonna be there, Lucio Perillo ain't gonna be there, Martina ain't gonna be there.
Well, DC's not gonna be there.
Alan Qua ain't gonna be there. Derek Chu ain't gonna be there. Art Germain ain't gonna be there. All these countries everybody's on lockdown, and when these guys are the big names for the variant covers, that's that brings in a lot of people. If they're not gonna be there, what are they gonna do?
I get what you're saying. Their guest list is going to dwindle down, and yeah, I get it. I'm trying to think of.
I mean, it's not like the con is gonna give back money. Like if they continue with the con, like they're not gonna. Like you're gonna have a lot of pissed off people if they're like, well, the only reason I was going is because I wanted Perillo's to sign my books, so they're gonna want a refund, even if it's past the refund day. If they continue with the con but these people aren't there, you're going to have a lot of people that are. So in the end, they might just say, cut our losses, cancel it all, or postpone it, move it to another date and not give anybody refunds,
But would they still go? Would they still go to the con if they weren't there?
Big names. There's some big names that are stuck, man. They're stuck in their countries and it's locked down. So what are they supposed to do?
George Perez.
There you go.
Yeah, get the old schoolers up there. They're all here in Florida. There's a lot of them here in Florida.
Really, though, that's honestly one of the other reasons why I personally prefer a smaller con anyway.
Get your locals.
I get locals in. That's cool. And then I'm like Dennis, where I want to go dig in dollar bins if I can. I want to go dig in those bins where you find where you find something that's autographed or a book that's gotten hot that you wouldn't find anywhere else, and just do your thing, man. Do essentially just all the comic shops came to you that day.
That's it. that's if they're even there. I mean, that's one of the complaints with the cons is they've become what, like a dress up, and then there's not as many comic book companies going there anymore.
Well, yeah, that is part of the complaint of the larger ones. But honestly, around here, the smaller ones, you'll have a cosplay contest, but there's virtually no one that you would consider a professional cosplayer there. They're all local people that enjoy the cosplay scene. They go cosplay real quick, you know. It's
I
not
hate that term,
what
professional
cosplay.
cosplayer. Ugh.
Well,
Well, aren't you one?
don't
No.
no. Don't hate on Kara's a professional cosplayer. She's a friend of the show, man. Don't hate on professional cosplayers.
I just it's
If you can make it,
I don't hate on any cosplayer. I just hate that term, like professional cosplayer.
well, if that's what makes, what do you want to call them if that's what they're getting paid to do for a living?
They're cosplayers.
But they're getting paid. They're getting paid for their ability to cosplay. Does that not make them professionals?
I get paid.
To cosplay?
I get paid with joy every time
get paid-
somebody comes up to Snake and they're like, "Boss," and I'm like, "Oh, he gets it. This guy gets it."
Get paid in smiles and hugs.
No, I'm not hating. I'm not hating that they get paid. It's just like professional cosplayer or cosplayer. You see
no,
people that
I
aren't
get what
getting
you're
paid out on
look-
the floor that have just
look-
as good of costumes as everybody else. So
Look-
I don't know, like you put in that like pro on there. I don't know.
I get what you're saying, and if it is used in a way that makes it seem like they're up here and other cosplayers are down here, that's not the way that I'm meaning it. I'm meaning exactly the way that I said it, which is to me, a professional is somebody who's getting paid to do what they're doing.
This is an interesting
They're a pro.
conversation in itself. This is like a whole show, but I will
Okay.
say this: like, I'm not a fan of cosplayers, and I have friends that are your quote pro cosplayers, right? Wonderful people. I love them to pieces. They go and they sit at a table. That table should be for another vendor or an artist or somebody that is not using someone else's uh, licensed product to make money on themselves for themselves. I you want to take money to take pictures with people, go ahead. You want to hand out your prints, but I think all the cosplayers should be out on the floor walking around with the rest of us. That might rub some people the wrong way, and there's some pro cosplayers, like you say, pro, that I consider friends, but still I cringe every time I see it. It's like, well, you know,
I don't know, dude. I mean, they're doing the hobby that we love, and they're getting paid for it. I'm okay with that. I just want to keep this stuff going. I want comics to keep being made. I want comic book shows to keep on happening. And if it has to be a professional cosplayer that's there to bring people there so that the shows keep happening, hey, I'm all for it.
they have their draw. It's a personal thing with me. I don't expect everybody to think exactly like I think about it. I just feel like it's cosplay, not cost sit. I also have a problem. I also have a problem with people that break character when they're in cosplay. I don't do it. If I go to a con and I'm big boss, I'm big boss for the whole weekend. You're talking to Snake. Don't come to me saying, hey Brian. I will ignore you.
So even like you make a little 5-year-old kid cry as
I did?
Snake. No, I'm asking if you do. You don't break character and are like, kid, come on, dude, I'm just playing. Relax.
No, I just hand them my because I carry a Fortnite gun because it's in foam. All you do is hand them the Fortnite gun and they think it's the greatest thing ever. They won't be crying anymore.
Oh, okay.
They're just like, oh, it's because they know Fortnite and they know that that's a Fortnite gun, even though everyone else just thinks it's just a foam prop.
Is it
looks like any other gun? But the kids know, they see it and they're like, it's a Fortnite gun.
Isn't Snake a vegetarian? So I mean,
he eats snakes, rabbits, frogs, rats. Calorie mate.
So now wait. So what does Snake eat on a con weekend when he's not breaking character for the whole weekend?
Me and my boy AJ Simmons, we have been known to break out MREs at a con.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
That's
it
outstanding.
has happened. But sometimes you just want, sometimes you just want a $8.50 hot dog because you just want to throw money away. A cold $8.50 hot dog.
That you stood in line an hour and a half to get.
A $4 little thing of soda. You know. So
Preach.
basically,
Yeah, you're right. This is a whole show in and of itself. We're going to have a show next week. We're just going to complain about cons. We're just going to.
Don't get me wrong, though, man. I'm not shitting on pro cosplayers. You know what I mean?
Get it.
I love them. I love them. I love what they do. I think that their artistic ability to be making the costumes that they make.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get it twisted, man. There's people that put just as much time and effort into it, and they're out there walking around on the floor cosplaying. And when you talk to Homeboy, he's dressed as Batman. He's Batman the whole time. There's people like me, like they're purists with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not Danish purists. Purists.
Ah, okay. Because now I don't know that anybody could cosplay as Dennis. I don't know that. Do you think that would be possible?
I could.
That should be a thing, though. That should be a thing.
You got to have that "fuck you, Corey Powell" shirt.
That's the first thing you need, and then
there's only one of those on the planet, though.
And unless you're going to eat a bunch
dope.
of beans, or something, you're going to have some kind of a sound machine or a whoopee cushion, so you could just walk around farting on people.
I don't know. Dennis has got some interesting stories about cons. I wish we could get him on. John, try to talk him into jumping on. Because Dennis was at a con and he was looking in the dollar bins and some woman freaked out on him because some guy next to him, I think, bought like a Spider-Man 300 instead of a wedding ring. And she lost it and Dennis got caught up in the middle of it.
That's epic. I remember that.
Dude,
he's
Dennis
like one of the
funniest stories.
He's like one of the red shirt guys on Star Trek. Except he lives.
Is he still in? I don't see him in the chat now.
I don't know. Dude, it might be past his bedtime. I think if we start talking smack about him, he might show up.
All right, you want to wrap this one up for the YouTube? And then, we can keep talking.
Can do that.
But, all right, so final thoughts.
Go
Brian?
Go ahead.
No, Brian, go ahead.
All right.
Wait, final thoughts on what? Are we going back to, are we talking about Doctor
Anything.
Who?
Anything you want.
The Expanse or whatever.
Go watch The Expanse. It's fantastic. If you want to know anything about Doctor Who, talk to these two gentlemen here. And then have a reasonable amount of caution if you're going out into public places where there's a lot of people, because we all know that people sometimes don't make the best decisions of where they're going to cough into, where they're going to sneeze into, things like that. Just be aware, elitist.
Michael Jordan, one of the greatest.
All you cosplayers out there, the Milk Dog loves you.
John, do you have your final thoughts? Aside from the tick, and you're pissed off that the tick is canceled.
San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. What? Elitist. Anyway, that's awesome. Man, really, I just want to say I'm super stoked that the crew too got funded. We didn't mention that at all until right now. It's phenomenal. It got funded. Now is the time that we add on a little extra, see if we can get to a stretch goal. That would be pretty freaking sweet, I think. Between that and the fact that we finally got to talk The Expanse on the show, I'm just jacked. I think this is a great show. Glad that Brian was able to join us. Hopefully Ian will be able to join us again at some point whenever we can do something that maybe he's a little more down with. Of course, he's got an open invite to the show. So that's all I got, Todd.
All right, so my final thoughts are definitely check out The Expanse. I was doubtful about The Expanse myself. I kept seeing it on Amazon, passing it over. And then one day, Brian and Doomcock told me that Brian's like Doomcock, like mini Doomcock to me. So, I heard that they loved it. I checked it out. It is phenomenal. You definitely want to watch it. If you like Star Trek, Star Wars, anything space sci-fi, you are going to love this show. It is beautifully done. To piggyback off of John, the crew has reached its goal. We're going to print some comic books. And please, if you watch this and you haven't supported the crew, check it out. We got some artists that are doing their first covers, and I'm more excited for those guys than I am for myself, because they're going to be able to hold their first cover in their hands and be like, yo, I did this. This is mine. So please check it out. It's not about me. It's a little bit about me, but it's a lot about those guys as well. And hopefully, like, there's going to be a third book. Hopefully we can get some more artists to contribute. And I know people that contribute to the Kickstarter might be pissed off that there might be more artists doing stuff, but I love all the artists that are on the Collector's Corner, on Comic Book Action Espionage. I love all you guys, and I want you guys to get your first comic too.
I got a closing question. This is going to benefit your backers too. Now that you are funded, how do we go about adding anything? Like if I want to add the blank sketch cover, how do I do that?
At the end of the Kickstarter, I'll be able to send out a survey, and I think you can adjust things at that point. I think you could adjust your amount and everything like that.
Okay.
I know, Brian, you only want the blank sketch cover because you didn't listen to me when I told you that you're a character in this book.
You told me my first appearance was issue 3, Todd.
And now you want yourself drawn onto a comic. And I know a lot of great artists if you're looking for somebody.
You are the new DC Comics, where you say that it's this cover, but really it's 92. It's not 94.
Let's be real. This one's a cameo for Milk Dog. This is not a first full appearance.
No,
really?
it actually is. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a full appearance.
I wanted a 181 action.
Wow.
Can you just edit out stuff?
I got a whole page with you.
Put
and
a blue dot. Put a blue dot right over his face.
Yeah.
Just a blue dot for like 99% of it, and then his last.
Just put this face.
Yeah. No, you got like 1 or 2 pages with you and
Nate
and Peters.
Nate.
And Peter's gun has got a really interesting name, and if you know Nate Peters, you're gonna love the name of the gun. So
I can't wait, Todd.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. Everybody that supports. You're not just supporting me; you're supporting these other artists. Because, I mean, I wrote a pretty good story, I think, but it's fun to be able to incorporate these guys into it too. So I'll wrap it up with that. So peace out, everybody.
Be good or be good at it.